So occasionally we'll come across some kinematic problems for falling objects where we'll have to deal with a quadratic equation. So if you're comfortable with quadratics and how to solve them, great, do it in whatever method you like. You can use quadratic equation, you can graph it and find the roots where the function crosses the x-axis. One method you might not be as familiar with is using the solver on your calculator. So that's what I'm going to go over in this video. Let's start out by looking at an example of the type of problem that we'll usually encounter quadratics with. So let's say we've got a building. This is not drawing for me. Pen. Thank you. Say we have some building that is, I don't know, 100 meters high from here to here, and you are on top of the building and you throw a rock downward. Here's your rock, and you're not just dropping it, you're going to give it an initial velocity of, I don't know, say 10 meters per second. Okay, and if we want to find the time for that rock to hit the ground, then we start out with our favorite list, v, v naught, a, and t. So we have a change in height of 100 meters, so we can put 100 here for delta y. An initial velocity of 10 meters per second. We know the acceleration is always 9.8. Time is what we're trying to solve for, and we don't care about the velocity when it hits the ground, at least not for this problem. Now we do need to double check with our signs, positives and negatives. My displacement, since I start up high and end up down low, my displacement is down. My initial velocity, I said I was throwing it down, and my acceleration is always down. So it would make sense just to choose down to be the positive direction, so I can leave all of these quantities as positive rather than having a bunch of negatives everywhere. So we're good here with our table of information, don't need to make anything negative. Now the equation we're going to use, where we don't care about the final velocity, is delta y equals v naught t plus 1/2 at squared. Start plugging in numbers, we get 100 equals 10t plus half of 9.8 is 4.9 t squared, and now I've got to solve this puppy for t. If my initial velocity had been 0, so if I dropped it, then this term would be 0, and I'd have a squared I'd have to worry about, so I'd have to take the square root at some point, but I wouldn't have to worry about solving a quadratic. So again, at this point you can use your calculator, or sorry, you could use quadratic formula, plot it or something. But here's how you'd use a solver on a TI-83 or 84s or similar. The Inspires probably have some other fancy thing. So if you go here to your 83, you go to the math menu. Oh, looks my calculator's off. On. Come on, calculator. There we go. Math menu, all the way at the bottom of this menu, and if you hit the up arrow key it'll take you there quickest, or you can just hit 0. Takes you to what's called solver, so go ahead and hit enter there. Now you always have to have the equation equal to 0, and this guy's not equal to 0, but we can fix that easy enough. We just need to have, come on pen, we just need to move that 100 to the other side. So I'm going to have 0 equals negative 100 plus 10t plus 4.9t squared. Okay, grab my calculator back over here. So type in that guy, negative 100. Be sure not to type in minus 100. That will mess it up. Plus 10, and I'm just going to use the x. Where is it? There we are. Rather than bothering with t's, same thing, right? Plus 4.9x squared. So there's our equation. Now when you hit enter, it's not going to give you the answer. it takes you to this screen here. If you have previously used the solver, the last answer you had will be in here. So be careful not to be tricked. Even if you have some number 3.8 or something, that isn't the answer for the equation you just entered. The extra little step you have to do is, you see above the enter key in green there, it says solve. You might not be able to read that on this screen so much, but on your calculator you can. So you have to hit solve. So we go alpha, enter, and it computes for a minute, and it gives us 3.6 seconds. Now you might recognize this is a parabola, so it's going to have two roots. Typically we're going to have a positive and a negative root, and we care about the positive one because we're saying time 0 is when I dropped it, so anything before that, well, has to do with if the projectile was launched up and came back down. That was how much time ago it was launched, if it were, but in this situation it doesn't really have any significance. Now if it gives you the negative answer and you want the positive, you just need to input some other value here. That's kind of its initial guess. I would type in anything positive, type in 99 or something, and then hit alpha, enter again, and then it will be more likely to give you the positive root. So 3.61, that's good enough here. Let's jump back to our problem here. So 3.61 seconds. There we have the time to hit. Now I will mention, if you just always struggle with this and can't figure it out on your calculator, you can get around this by solving the problem in two parts. You can solve for the final velocity using v squared equals v naught squared plus 2a delta y. So that's going to be 10 squared plus 2 times 9.8 times 100. So we're going to have 100 plus 200 times 9.8. Let me grab my calculator. Let's get out of the solver. Quit. Alright, so 100 plus 200, oops, delete, 200 times 9.8, and then we need the square root of that whole thing, so I'm just going to do to the power of 0.5. So we get a velocity of 45.387. Jump back here. 45.387. Now once I know that, I don't have to use this equation at all. I can solve for t by using v equals v naught plus at. So 45.387 equals 10 plus 9.8 times t. Let me make some room here. Okay, we don't need this anymore. We do want to leave that answer so we can compare. Alright. So we subtract the 10 over, so we're going to have t equals 35.387 over 9.8. Let's grab our calculator here. And if you're doing this, I would not just type in 35.387. It's best to keep all the digits the calculator can. So I'm just going to take the answer minus 10, which gives me that, divide that by 9.8, and voila, exactly the same answer. So pick whatever method works for you, using the solver, graphing, quadratic equation, or just doing it in 2 steps instead of 1. I'm never going to require you to use a specific process. I just want you to find the answer. Alright, thanks. Okay, I'm back. One more thing I forgot. If you've used your solver previously, so you jump math, you can hit 0, it'll take you right to it, then it doesn't take you to the screen where you can enter your equation. It takes you to the previous answer. So there's a little extra trick you need to know. To get back to enter a different equation, you hit the up arrow key on your calculator. Then here you've got the place where you can enter a new equation and go back and solve another one. That's all. Thank you.